Some of us love and trust our dream job or dream career more than God Himself. Let's back up a bit. We're all working towards something, one way or another, big or small. We're all building something in our lives, aware or not. We all desire something and go after it. Whether it's short term or long term, we pursue it. We follow the path to get it and achieve it. We all have an American dream. Most of us have heard the phrase, and it doesn't even matter if you're American or not. Most of us all around the world have a desire to have a successful life. Sure, success can mean different for everyone, but I think it's quite safe to say that majority of us think of success as someone who has a stable career, a stable income, a wealth of some sort, home ownership, and the freedom to live the way we want. The life we think we deserve. The life we want that we think is right in our own eyes. The life we want as we see fit. As they say, you can achieve anything you set your mind to. As a kid, I loved animation. Who didn't love animation or cartoons? I mean, maybe some don't, but I was that Disney fairy tale classics, Cartoon Network, Pixar, and all of the above kind of girl animation fan. I also love drawing and coloring, as far as I can remember. Growing up, art became the subject that I always excelled in and enjoyed doing the most. Doing art was where my confidence was built on, so much so that it became my identity. Fast forward to my final year at university, I connected both my love for drawing and animation, and I realized that that's where I want to be. I want to pursue a career in animation as an artist. And as a Christian, I had a strong belief at the time that that's where God wanted me to be because of the kind of stories that studios like Disney made and the fact that art was my strength. So I took as many short courses as I could and attended events in person and online that had anything to do with getting me shaped as an artist fit for animation. I watched endless videos of artists sharing their knowledge, skills, and tips on how to get in the animation industry. The word I got from all the artists I listened to and watched was, keep striving, keep hustling, stay active online, and stay hungry for learning all things animation. Act like you already work in the industry. Keep drawing, keep painting, keep practicing. Keep updating your portfolio. Keep networking. Keep applying to as many vacancies. Do this, do that, do, in order to make your dreams come true. As people say, follow your heart. So I did. I kept going with it because I didn't know what else I could do in my life. And besides that, I had family pressure of getting a career that pays well. And I saw animation as a way to achieve that. Doing art was what I was best at. And because I knew I love animation and the filmmaking world and storytelling, I believed it was the best work I could pursue, where it sounded like great fun and where I felt like I could do best at. And beyond that, I believed at the time that it was God's calling for me because being an artist was my identity. It became all I ever wanted to achieve. And the world says, never give up. So I pursued it year after year since graduating in 2013. Lo and behold, in 2022, I got in an animation studio in London as a general assistant, which was a role I shared with another person. There were two of us doing the same role. I thought, whoa, this is a dream coming true, right? I mean, yeah, it's not an artist role yet, but it was promising. There was hope. I was finally in an animation studio, what I've been longing for so long. But the pursuing hasn't ended, and I did come to learn eventually that there was actually, or there is, I should say, no end to it. You have to keep hustling. That's the world. And it was exhausting, to say the least. Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed my time at said animation studio. Most people were lovely, they were nice. Some became really good work friends of mine, and I truly enjoyed working with them. But working there also gave me one of the biggest, lowest point of my life. It was fun at first, but it quickly became an on and off sour working environment behind the scenes. The manager I had definitely had her biases. I'll always be grateful for them for hiring me, and that's never going to change. But how I was treated in the process during my time there was not okay. When I look back at what happened, there was definitely something wrong and unfair in the treatment they gave me in comparison with the other assistant. Let's just leave it at that. Anyway, I never properly spoke up about it because, well, even if I tried, to be honest, I was afraid. It was my first gig in industry. My manager was not someone to speak up to, and I was too fearful, really, of having it become something that will take away the opportunity I thought I had. So I remained quiet, and somehow that became a chokehold the manager had on me, whether she was aware of it or not. I was walking on eggshells. At least, that's what it felt like. At the time, my personal relationship with God, with Jesus, was pretty dead. Technically, in biblical terms, I'm the one who was dead. So much so that it was a time where I was far from Him, very far. My heart was so far from Him. Sure, I still knew He was real. I still acknowledged Him, still prayed and thanked Him for the opportunity. He was never really out of my mind per se, but He was not really the Lord of my life back then. I was the Lord of my own life. I lived in so much sin and lived a very lukewarm Christianity. My identity was not in the Lord. My identity was in being an artist and having a role in the animation industry. It became an idol in my life. It was my priority. It was what I pursued and had my heart and mind set on to deem myself successful to myself, to my parents, and to all the people around me. That I am worth something. But God, in His unyielding love and grace, never stopped pursuing me. Not because I've done something great or worthy of His attention or praise. No way. No. But He, God, pursues me because that's who He is. God is love, and He doesn't desire for me to continue walking deeper in that darkness I was in. And He desires the same for everyone, to be saved, to be taken out of the dark. God has shown me that I don't have to earn anything. I don't have to achieve these things that I've been running after for so long. Because that's not what matters most in life, and neither will it matter in eternity. Because at the end of the day, earning titles, earning a career in life is not what God really wants for me. He wants me to trust in Him with everything. Because the pursuit of earning something is usually a seed of pride. It points back to me, to myself, to self-gratification, to self-praise, to self-worth, rooted in my own achievements, not in what God has done. Proverbs 19:21 says, "Many are the plans in the mind of a man, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will stand." NIV also says it this way, "Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails." Well, ain't that the truth? Because I clearly had a plan that I was running after, both in my mind and in my heart. But God says, "Nah, come back to me." And that He did. Because after I finished my 1-year contract with the studio, I haven't been able to bag another role in animation. 3 months went by, applied to loads, and well, nothing. Still kept trying, still kept an eye out for opportunities. But yeah, nothing. I remember befriending an artist on LinkedIn during that time of unemployment, asking her advice on how she was getting job after job in the industry. It was impressive. She was like networking crazy on LinkedIn. It was, at first it was admirable, but I don't know now. Anyway, yeah, I asked others too, and all I got and all I saw from them was, you gotta keep going, keep networking, keep hustling, keep updating your portfolio with new work, and never give up. Now, working hard obviously is a good thing. I'm not saying never giving up is a bad thing at all, but this cycle of the same advice, it got to a point where I felt really sick about it. The never-ending hustle and promoting yourself on LinkedIn or anywhere, social media platforms, pushing yourself out there to be noticed, it all made me sick, mentally. I was thinking, I can't live like this. It's not sustainable. It's exhausting, so exhausting. At that point, I needed a job to pay my bills, so I went back to my previous job as a part-time team member where I am currently now a barista at Gale's. It's a coffee and bakery shop in London. Almost 2 years have gone now, and I'm still there. I used to see it as a job I'm just getting by with for financial support, and technically, frankly, it still is, but the perspective has changed. And that's full credit to God for the work He is doing in my heart. Now, of course, I'm not saying I'll be at Gale's forever, but what I am saying is that I am going wherever God says. And for now, it's staying at Gale's and loving and serving the people that He surrounds me with there, surrendering to Him and letting Him transform me wherever He places me. And at the moment, that also includes me creating content here on YouTube and Instagram to share what He wants me to share, whether that's for a short time or a long time. If God will want me to be in the animation industry, I trust He'll bring me there for His greater purpose and in His timing. And even if not, I still trust that He has me where He wants me, even if I don't know the why, the details, or having the full clarity of knowing each step or the result. Isn't that the whole point of faith? It's trusting Him for whatever He is up to, whatever His plan is. Walking with Him in all things and listening to what He says and obeying Him, because He is good and He is trustworthy. For now, I know He doesn't want me there. He's still shaping me into knowing His voice more, surrendering every part of my life to Him, and becoming more like Jesus. Though, really, that's going to be until the end of my life here on earth. If I was to be in the animation industry or the entertainment industry in general, at this time now, I mean, have you seen the world? Have you seen where the industry has been heading to at the moment? It's not good. And I'm talking about the mainstream. At least coming from a Christian and biblical point of view, it's not just the corrupt messages being infiltrated in the stories these days, but it's also how corporate it's becoming, with AI rising, being more normalized as a tool for speedy outcomes for company profit, and really it's just for company profit. It's only showing really how careers are not ultimately to be relied on. But aside from that, I'm honestly happy to be taken out of that world. When I was a very baby Christian and get doubtful about my future and my dream career, people at church tend to quote or paraphrase Psalms chapter 37, verse 4 to me, saying, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." And sometimes it even follows the verse, "With God, all things are possible." I was thinking, honestly, at that time, at a young age, wow, the Lord will give me the desires of my heart as long as I stick with Him. It sounded like I understood what the scripture was saying, but obviously not. I clearly misunderstood it and was quite misled, really, because of how people misapplied it and would say, "Never give up," and cheered me on to keep pursuing my dreams, and never once corrected me with the truth. Then again, what do people really know? What do I know? Instead, God pruned me, and He has shown me Himself what it truly means. Psalm chapter 37 verse 4 is not about getting what we desire. It's about delighting in the Lord, finding and realizing that the true satisfaction, the ultimate joy and pleasure is only found in God Himself. Not in the things of this world, not in my dreams, not even in myself, but God Himself. He is the reward. It's not about Him making my dreams come true and Him giving me my desires. It's about when we delight in God alone, knowing He is the only one that truly satisfies. Being fully surrendered to Him, He then fills us and aligns us with His desires, His truth, His heart. It's not about my desires, not about my truth, not the dreams and the will of my heart to be fulfilled. No. His desire for our own good is to love Him with all, not only part of our hearts, but all of our hearts, all of our mind, body, and soul, and to love others as He loved us through Christ. Sure, God can be invested in our dreams if it's from Him, but even if it is from Him, He is more invested in our hearts, not in our dreams. Dreams are not that important. I think it's our hearts. He's more interested in our hearts, not in our dreams, because that's what He wants, to win back for our own sake. It's crazy how the saying, "believe in yourself" or "trust in yourself" when you're low and uncertain with life is not something the world just says to encourage or uplift, but it's also what some people existing in the church say these days and advise as well. And it's completely the opposite from what God says in His word. Proverbs chapter 28, verse 26 says, "Whoever trusts in his own mind is a fool, but he who walks in wisdom will be delivered." Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 to 7 also says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. Be not wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and turn away from evil." It's not about having confidence or believing in ourselves or trusting in ourselves. That saying is a complete lie. Really, it's self-serving. Even Jesus didn't trust any human. It's not about trusting or having confidence and believing in ourselves, but it's about having confidence in the one who is worthy of trusting. Even the saying, "Follow your heart," is a lie, and it's not from God. I know this now for sure because I used to follow my heart, and I followed those words. God himself said in his word, in Jeremiah chapter 17:9, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately sick. Who can understand it?" In fact, if we are truly following Jesus, we are called to die to ourselves. And hey, Jesus never said, "Follow your heart." He said, "Follow me." Follow Jesus, who is the way, the truth, and the life. So to come back to earlier about Psalm 37:4, being given the desires of my heart is not about getting what I want. It did say, "Delight yourself in the Lord." And that's what he did. He made me realize that if I continued on the path that I was walking in, allowing exhausting worldly ways to rule my life, then I have made this career, dream, and the desire to have the title in animation my identity and clearly my idol. And it's not just merely the chase of a career in animation, it's trusting and loving the idea of having a career in general. Because under the surface is me, idolizing the success of having a stable income, owning a house, having the worldly idea of freedom, having the ability to say to my parents and to people around me that I am worth something because of what I do. Which at the bottom of it is pride saying I can make it throughout of my own effort. It was all about myself. But God has shown me how meaningless and empty and dead it all is without him. In my lowest and in my lostness, God was still there, and he still is right here, pursuing me actively and transforming my heart actively to desire him alone instead of anything and anyone else, because that's what matters most. And that to me, as now a new creation in Jesus, is success. It's not in the having or achieving, but in the receiving of God's grace and to be changed by his love, trusting in him to be with him for eternity. There's so much more to learn, really, but this is where I am at the moment in my walk with the Lord. So tell me, what is it that you chase after these days? What have you been trusting in and depending on the most lately? What have you been treasuring and valuing the most? What has been your number one priority? What are you so obsessed with that makes you so convinced that it is the best reward? Where is your sense of worth placed on? Is it to have the successes this world brings? Or is it truly knowing God himself and receiving who he is? Is what you are following still God's way, or has it become about following your own way? Have you made your dream and the career you desire your identity? The question is, what is reigning in your heart? Who is the real ruler of your heart? What have you been holding on so tightly that you find so hard to let go of and submit to God? Who is your real priority? Is it really God, or is it yourself disguised in godly reasons? Matthew chapter 6, verse 19 to 21 says, "Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." Having a dream and a career to work towards is not a bad thing, especially if it's from God. I mean, I'll still be doing art and creating something like I'm doing now. I'll still love storytelling and would probably still do something with it. But all I'm saying is, if it has become more of a priority than God Himself, it can be an indicator of what your heart truly worships and what truly reigns in your heart. And the good news is, God already has provided a way out. It's fully trusting in Jesus for saving us. But that doesn't mean that we get to keep doing what our heart desires. Instead, we surrender it all to Him completely, and to ask Him and to let Him transform and change our hearts to be filled with His desires for us instead of our own. Nothing in this world could ever satisfy. No matter how many times it tries, I am left so dry. Only in you, Lord, I find true life. At the cross where you were nailed and crucified, in you I find hope, I find strength, I find where my life begins. Nothing in this world could ever heal my soul, 'cause it only longs for you alone. Jesus, my one and only Savior, in whom I find hope, I find strength, I find where my life begins. In you alone, in you alone. You are the breath of life. To you my soul cries out. You are the breath of life. To you my soul cries out. So I let go of the things of this world, and I surrender it all to you, Jesus, 'cause my soul is lost without you. Oh, my soul is dead without you. So take me back to my first love. Because you, Jesus, are always enough. So take me back to my first love. Because you, Jesus, are always enough. In you I find hope, I find strength, I find